Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Chicks and Sticks, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. My name is Melissa Boyd, and I'm joined once again by my esteemed fellow writers, Kristy Flannery, Hannah Garfield, and Mariah Holland. Hi, ladies. How are you tonight?
Hi. Hello.
If you're enjoying our show, make sure to drop us a like, a follow, or a comment from wherever you're watching or listening. And don't be shy to send us in your questions, and we'll be sure to answer them in a future episode. Tonight, we're very excited for our guest this week. We are chatting with South Florida native Racquel Goldy. She's a jack of all trades and is a podcast host, social media personality, and content creator. She currently co-hosts the weekly Millennial Girls podcast, which is a must listen. They talk about relatable topics and issues that, you can guess it, millennials face. She also received acclaim for her time as a pregame show host for all Florida Panthers home games. Hi, Racquel. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. What a great intro. Thank you.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
Thank you. I always forget that I have a podcast. I don't know why. Like whenever someone starts introing me and they're like, the Millennial Girls podcast, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that. I forgot.
So Kristy will get us started with our first question tonight.
All right. Hi, girl.
Hey.
Okay, so we are going to go back a couple of years. Well, maybe more than a couple of years. You graduated from Florida Atlantic University and have a journalism degree like me, and you have a minor in theater, which is actually genius when you think about combining the two of them. When you were working towards those degrees, what did your career look like at that point? What were you trying to accomplish having the journalism and theater degree?
Oh, I thought I was going to be the next Juliana Rancic and host E! News, which is now extinct. So I was like, it's TRL. TRL's not available anymore. All right. So E! News, which is now like literally when E! News got canceled last year, I can't even tell you the amount of text messages I got from people I hadn't even talked to probably since J school being like, are you okay? Because that was all I talked about. Like I was hosting E! News, Juliana Rancic, I'm going to be your co-host. Like that was it. So yeah, that was really what it looked like. I didn't really have any intention in being in sports at all because I was so like music, entertainment, lifestyle. That's what I wanted to do. And made it very clear to my professors. And even, I forgot what class it was. I think it was like broadcast 1. We had to do spot stories every week for NPR radio. And my lovely professor, who bless his heart, would literally give me stories on like illegal fireworks, because at least fireworks. And like I could put some of my personality into it, while my friends would get, stories on illegal red light cameras. And they're like, Racquel, I hate you because I got, again, a woman empowerment story once. And my best friend, Chelsea, had, I think 4 or 5 stories on illegal red light cameras every week. And everyone was like, oh, I hate you. I'm like, well, sorry, host E! News. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my God.
So I'm curious, how did you kind of go from wanting to host E! News to ending up working with the Panthers?
So it kind of fell into my lap. I grew up going to Panthers games, big hockey fan, like hockey was my sport. I grew up competitively dancing. So that was my literal life. I wanted to move to LA when I was 18 and, be a professional backup dancer. I knew I always wanted to host and be in hosting at some point, but I really, truly thought it was going to be later down the line. Like I thought I was going to live my best life being a backup dancer, touring the world, doing all that stuff. And my parents were like, yeah, you need a backup plan because a dancer's lifespan is real short. So you can only imagine how senior year of high school was. It was like World War III every time college was mentioned. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going. But I'm really happy I did it because public speaking is really important no matter what field of work you're in. I mean, I feel like that's the biggest problem with the generation growing up right now. They're always in their phones. And I taught dance simultaneously when I was hosting for the Panthers. So I would, on my off days, be at the studio teaching choreographing. And these kids don't know how to speak. And I would be like, hello, what are you saying? Because I'm like, my other job is literally speaking in front of 18,000 people. Like you got to know how to talk. And I think that was really great too, because they got to see me do it. A lot of the kids would come to the games and be like, oh my God, Miss Rocky actually does this. Like speaking is important. So now we understand why. But I did go through like a part of college being like, oh, it'd be really cool to host for the Panthers, or it'd be really cool to work for the arena and kind of be the content creator to talk about the music and stuff that's coming. I like had that thought, and I vividly remember having that thought because I had started my own YouTube channel in college, and I was interviewing musicians and stuff myself because I was like, okay, TRL is not a thing. I hate these people doing these interviews. It irks the crap out of me. Like, I need to do it myself. So I did that. And then basically after I graduated college, I was living in Nashville for about 2 years. I was going back and forth like 3 times a month, and I was covering all of the award shows and festivals. I was the country music correspondent for a digital music magazine, and I learned so much from being in that, because in our career, unless you're doing it, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you learn in journalism school how to do certain things, but until you're actually in it, I feel like you don't actually understand what's going on. So that was really important. And then I knew the host who had been there for a long time was leaving. I had so many people hit me up about it. And I forgot how it happened, but at one of my internships, I interned for the CW, the South Florida affiliate, right after college. I made friends with one of the guys who did marketing at the time. He was also the guy who did all the music for the Panthers games. And I was always going to Panthers games, and, whatever. He knew I loved hockey, and I could sit and talk hockey forever with guys. And he had texted me, was like, this job is opening up. I really think you should apply for it. So I applied for it, and you got to send in your reel and everything. And you know how it is. If you don't know someone to even give your resume or your reel to the right person, like, you're never getting a call. So I actually knew like 3 people who knew the head person or knew someone in the department. And I waited. I was like, okay. And then one day I randomly got a phone call, and I was actually packing to go to Nashville and to cover a festival or something. And I got a call, and it was like a phone interview. It wasn't even like, hi, we're interested. It was like, this is your interview. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm packing for a flight right now. Sup. So I did that. And then they said, okay, you're moving on to the next, like, after that, they're like, we want you to move on to the next round. And so I did that. And the next round was wild because it was the in-person interview, and it was at the arena. It was basically a mock game. So it was myself, a girl who looked pretty much just like me, another blonde girl, and then 3 guys. And we were all rotating. There was different stations, if you want to call it, like, throughout the arena. So one was like a t-shirt toss, one was the mock save of the game, one was the intermission activity, and we were just rotating. And you were talking in front of no one. It was crazy because you had to have so much energy and pretend like you were in front of 18,000 people, and you didn't. And then at one point they were pairing us with different guys, and I was like, okay, so maybe they want 2 hosts, because I knew they were looking. I had a feeling with these guys that they wanted 2 hosts, or they wanted to try something different or something along those lines. And after I was actually paired with this guy, Aaron, who I knew from FAU because he hosted all of the football games. So we had known each other, and it was just, I was like, man, if we both got the job, like, we even had that conversation after, if we both got the job, that would be so dope, because I know we work really well together. Our energy is matched, and it's a good vibe. So a couple weeks go by. It's now really close to like preseason. I'm like, oh boy, okay. I'm just assuming this is another, like, didn't get the job, or like, who knows what's going to happen. And I got the phone call that was like, we're actually going in a different direction. Love that. We're going in a different direction. But we do want to keep you in mind for the future. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever. F you. Like, no, you don't. You just have to say that. So a whole basically season pretty much goes by. I'm at a game, and I'm just living my best life, and I see Aaron, who ended up getting the job by himself, comes over and says to me, after I was on the Jumbotron, like, just dancing, living my best life, like as you do. But I was on there for a really long time, and I was like, okay, well, maybe there's just no one else dancing. Like, wearing the proper colors. Like, I don't know. Anyway, Aaron comes over, and he's like, they're talking in my earpiece about you. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, okay. Like, what is my response supposed to be to that? Like, cool. I danced well. I'd sure hope so. I teach dance. So after the game, I get a phone call, and it is March, by the way, ladies. So season is almost over. There's about 10 games left. And I get a phone call, and from the guy who I knew who does the music. And he's like, hey, Racquel. I'm like, hi. He's like, are you still here? I was like, I mean, I'm in the parking lot trying to escape, but the traffic is horrible, as you know. And he goes, "Are you still interested in being involved with the organization?" I was like, "I mean, yeah, what do you mean?" I was like, "What?" It was just like all very vague. I was like, "I mean, I guess, like, what do you mean at this point, you know?"
Mhm.
And he said, "We're sending you an email, John, the boss, or whoever is sending you an email. Look out for it. Because we're interested in you being the co-host for the sold out Rangers game happening Monday." And this was like a Thursday, I want to say, or I think it was like a Tuesday. And I was like, huh? I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll be looking out for that email. Click. Hysterical, like bawling, hyperventilating, like, oh my God, it's happening. Like, one of those. This is a big deal. It's a sold out Rangers game. And
Yeah.
if you're a Florida Panthers games, any New York game is sold out because of those fans that all live down here. So I
Yes.
called my parents and they're like, "What's wrong? Is something wrong?" And I was like, "I'm hosting the hyperventilating Panthers game." They're like, "Okay, you're alive. Great. We'll talk about it later." I'm like, "Okay, bye." Like, literally, that's just how it happened. I got an email. They were like, "Show up at this time, wear this, go." Like, that's what it was. I walked into, the back of the arena and they showed me to my dressing room. We had our 2:00 meeting or a 3:00 meeting, hand me a script like this thick. And it's like, memorize it. My check's at 5. And I remember just being like, what is happening right now? And it was like one of those where you black out, but I didn't black out because I was like, I need to take in this moment. Like, I need to remember this for the rest of my life. And I was really grateful that I had Aaron because he got to help me and show me everything and just we rehearsed so many times. I don't think I've ever been that nervous in my entire life. Like everything I've ever done, public speaking, dance, anything, I've never been so nervous in my entire life because it's like, holy crap, this is real. Like it's happening. You're about to talk in front of 18,000 people. And I didn't have an in-ear. So I did not know what was happening. I didn't have a countdown. My countdown was like when the red light on the camera goes on, it's happening because Aaron had the earpiece. And I was like, we're just going to smile and hope for the best. Yeah, it was crazy. They let me have like index cards, but they were like, don't look at it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll just not fumble, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I'll never forget that feeling my entire life, but that's pretty much how it happened. It was a wild story.
That is really wild. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can't wait to like see where this goes. And then
No, it was wild.
and like,
Everything
oh
with me is always pretty wild. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's never a normal
twists
story.
And turns.
There's always, I mean, the fact that I was at the game and he came over and he was like, "By the way, they're talking about you." I was like, okay, like, cool, good talk. I don't know. Like, go, you're about to go talk. Bye. Like,
wow. That's like really one of those moments where it's like, you can't even like fathom that it's happening. And then it's like, wait.
I truly think that was the first time in my life that I understood what timing is everything meant. Truly, because I was so bummed out for not getting that job, but I knew it was so big and it was such an intense, job to have, and to not get it, I was like, okay, whatever. And just continued doing my stuff in Nashville and doing more freelance stuff. But finally, like, I think in that moment of the camera's about to turn on, you're about to talk in front of a sold out crowd, it was timing is everything. Like that is truly what that meant. And everyone always said that my whole life, timing is everything. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, bye. Like that was the moment where I understood it truly in my adult life.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to choose a similar career path?
Boy, oh boy, are you in for it. You really have to surround yourself with people who support you because it's so hard. And I feel like even with my career, people just see like the pretty glittery lights and all the fun things I get to do. And I've gone through it and I've continued to go through it. And obviously I'm not going to post that on social media. So everyone's just like, she's living her best life. Her life is perfect. No, that is not the case. I've had many nights coming home crying, even within the past year of after losing my job because of the pandemic. Like, am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Should I still be doing this? Should I change my career path because of it might be easier? And then it's like, no, you really, really have to love what you're doing if you want to be in any sort of journalism hosting on camera. Like you have to love it because it'll literally suck the life out of you if you don't. So you have to surround yourself with people who appreciate and not only appreciate, but understand what you're going through. Because if you just surround yourself with like, it's going to be okay. Yeah. Yes, people, it's just not going to help your mental health at all. And I'm really lucky to have made so many friends who work in sports and entertainment along the way who, you know, I can call if I'm having a bad day or if I'm having a mental breakdown or like, can you believe WTF this just happened when I was at an audition or on set or on a red carpet or at a hockey game? Like they understand, because my friends who don't, they just are like, I can't believe this is how your life is. How are you sane? And I'm like, well, I'm not, but it's fine. So definitely surround yourself with good people, and just, you have to have a really good work ethic or else it's just not going to happen for you for sure.
It's funny when you look at people that, especially with sports and even the hosting, the security guards, like everybody, like when people surround themselves, especially with hockey, they love it. It's their passion. Like we talked to Sarah last week, who works with the Nashville Predators, and it's that drive that you want to be at the rink every day. You need to be a part of it. It's a passion. I mean, we're all writers, and it's the same thing. It's a passion for it. Otherwise, you're right. It's draining. I have people that are like, how do you just write all the time? And I'm like, I love it. It's just, it's one of those things. You love it.
Yeah. And now, I mean, truly too, you're not in for it for the money. That's for sure. And I feel like that's the biggest misconception ever of life. I was working full-time as a dance teacher, choreographer while I was working for the Panthers, because I wasn't full-time. I was literally seasonal. And it wasn't until my last season with them, I got a longer contract, because I was also doing all the digital content for the arena when, you know, concerts were coming into the arena. So, I mean, definitely you're not going to be getting, unless you're literally Aaron Andrews and have a crazy deal with some TV network, like you're not making that much money. You're getting the experience, which is 100% only going to happen if you're in it.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about how much you love hockey and talking about it. So what attracted you to the sport, or what do you like about it? What resonates with you?
So I grew up with Brett McLean as my neighbor. He was a Panthers player, and his dog would escape sometimes, and then I would take care of his dog, and he gave us Panthers tickets once, and that was my first time ever going to see a real hockey game live. And I thought it was the coolest experience ever of all time. And my cousins grew up playing hockey. So my whole family is really into hockey, which is rare because we're in Florida. Everyone's like, you like hockey? Like what? First of all, the team is only is my age. We're the same age, me and the Panthers. So I literally grew up with the Panthers. We are the same age. But I mean, I don't know. First of all, dance was it for me. Like tunnel vision growing up, I only knew dance and hockey, which is so crazy. Like that was it. So I'm lucky, like a lot of the players when I grew up lived around me, and they would have signing events like at my clubhouse and stuff like that. So I grew up kind of living and breathing it, because that is really like the only sport I knew. And the arena was only 15 minutes away from my house, so it was really accessible to go to. So when I didn't have a dance competition or anything like that, we would go to the games, and then sometimes we would, you know, somehow go with a friend to have a box ticket, or that's what I grew up on. That was the sport. And then when I went to college, I got my roommates into it and my best friend into it, and I was teaching them about it. So yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those things that was like second nature. It was like dance and hockey. That's what it was.
So with the postseason starting up, everyone's talking about the Lightning and Panthers. What was it like to work a home game when Tampa would come?
Oh my God. I would major eye roll, because I could not stand the Tampa Bay fans. Like I couldn't. And they were just it was one of those things that they thought they could come to our arena and do whatever they wanted. And it's not how it was. I mean, people I remember would get kicked out because they were brawling. Like people were legit beating the crap out of each other. And I'm talking about the save of the game or whatever's on sale, the merch. And I'm like, what the F is actually going on? And I got to walk around security guard, which thank God, because I had people get in my face and all this stuff. And you can only imagine. But yeah, people were getting kicked out for having full out brawls. I'm like, this is not a zoo. What are you doing? Bye.
It's funny when you realize that happens in Florida, because when you think of that kind of atmosphere, I know being Prudential Center, being my home arena, Rangers, Devils, you expect that.
Oh yeah.
Montreal and Toronto, Edmonton, there's certain places that you really expect that. And when you realize how intense the rivalry is in Florida of all places,
no,
you kind of forget about it for a little bit.
I mean, I think it's one of those things that people don't know about. I don't know if it's not talked about or it's just played down, but it's definitely intense. Like, I actually got the chance to shadow the Tampa Bay host for playoffs. So that was really cool. I forgot. I think it was, I don't remember. It was Boston. It was Tampa Bay, Boston. And I even had people being like, oh, you're the Panthers host. Like, and they lost the game and they're like, it's because you're here. I was like, maybe your team should play better. Get out of my face. Anyway, like I can't, but yeah, no, it's definitely a thing. For real's a thing for sure.
So how is the crowd down there as a whole? Like, I know you said that there's sellout crowds for the Rangers and when the New York teams come down. And I know that there's always kind of like a bad rep that Florida always gets made fun of for the lack of people attending. But is it one of those things where it really is just a small market, but they're a passionate group?
I think it's definitely grown because they've gotten better over the past couple of years. Like when we were in that really awkward in between when Gallant was fired and Tom Rowe was the coach and everyone was so unhappy that he was brought in and we were doing horrendously. Like obviously you're not going to have people come to the games because they don't want to see the Panthers lose game after game after game after game. So there would be nights where I'm talking to like, I don't even want to know how many people there were. It was like really minimal people, but you talk like there's 18,000 people there and do your job. Obviously within, again, the past couple of years, we've gotten better and we've gotten our momentum and everything. There's more people coming. I mean, we were one of the few arenas to even have people post-COVID or during the pandemic, you know? So obviously it says something that there are fans if we have people coming to hockey games during a global pandemic.
For sure. So I don't know if you've been following the first two games of the series so far, but actually, as Mariah said, you know, it's kind of the series that's caught everybody's attention because, like you said, with the fans in the stands and just you can feel the rivalry. So I guess we wanted to ask you a couple of questions about what you've seen so far. Mine is, so they've started Dreger over Bobrovsky the last two games. What do you think about that, sitting your $10 million goalie?
I mean, my thing is, as a coach, if I'm the coach, you're going to play who's better, who's doing better at the time. Like, I agree. If he's playing better, then you play the one who's doing better. Sorry about it. And then we work through after season what's happening and like reevaluate the situation. I feel like the biggest misconception in sports is, oh, they make this much money, so they must be the best. People are human beings. Like, they have good games, they have bad games, they're on it, they're off it, they have other things going on in their lives that they have to deal with. And like, obviously work is number one focus at the end of the day. You're thinking about a million other things when things are happening. So you play the person who's doing better, especially if it's playoffs.
Right. And for me, what's interesting for you is you kind of grew up with them, but you grew up with them knowing the players kind of like off the ice. And I feel like with all sports, you know, it's so easy to judge a player when they have a bad game or anything like that, because you don't have that human connection to them. You just see them as go out, stop the puck. That's all you're supposed to do. And when Bennett got suspended, I don't know if you if you watched, but he got suspended for a game. Well, actually, to back up, he got a penalty, which led to the tying game, the tying goal, which then put Tampa in position to win the game. So they lost game one. Then Bennett is out for game two. How much do you think that when you look at a player and you see kind of like, and you realize the human nature of them minus being on the ice, like, do you think that's something that seeing that, sorry, I'm talking in circles. I'm trying to get my thoughts here.
No, you're fine. I do it all the time.
Right? It's like you kind of get lost and you're like, all right, let me regroup. How much do you think that bothers a player? Like off the ice when they realize that there's a mistake like that can cost the team one game or even two games in a series?
Oh, I think it eats them alive. It's not even just athletes, it's musicians, it's anyone who's, you know, in a high place and makes a mistake and it affects a huge outcome. I think you're obviously going to think about it and replay it over and over. I know I do. Like if something up or something happens, I replay it over and over and over and over. I'm like, why did that happen? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? Anything like that. But I mean, the thing is, if you're protecting another player and that happens, you know, like a lot of time that happens in hockey. If you're protecting Barkov, who like doesn't hit anyone and everyone wants to go take him out, like he does that because like, you know, I get it. But I don't know. I mean, it definitely affects the person. It's human. Again, it's humanizing the person. I think we need to really just get to a place of humanizing athletes and anyone in entertainment that's like, oh my God, the influence of this, like they're a human being. They're not a robot and they have emotions. They have bad days. Again, like, I guess I understand it because I'm in it. I've been in it for so long now with both sides of entertainment, music, sports. Like I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, well, da, da, da. I'm like, they're a human being, you weirdo. Like, what do you mean? Like, get out of my face for you saying that. You try doing it and then let me know how it goes.
Yeah, there's so many layers. You have the human nature, you have that it's a business above anything else, but it's so easy when a player has a bad game or makes a really bad decision, like in the moment, that people just rag on them.
Yeah, because how many times have we seen like people are having bad games and then they end up taking a leave of absence for something happening and like you find out down the line like it's a huge mental health or some crazy issue and you're like, you look like a horrible human being now for the person that's been trash talking. I mean, I see it on Twitter too. I still follow have a lot of Florida Panthers fans following and the trash talking and the this and I'm like, oh God, take a deep breath, everyone. Twitter's a wild place.
Yes, it is. It is for sure. We had a player in Montreal who just actually went on leave as well we don't know why, but we assume that is what it was for. So, and also about this series, I mean, I think, Florida is missing a really big piece for the series in Aaron Ekblad. I'm sure he would be making a big difference right now for them.
Yeah, I saw that. I hadn't watched any games in a while just because I've been working on my own mental health, and the one game I turned on was when he got injured and I was like, I was literally like, oh my God, like freaking out just because, that was such a horrific injury. And I was like flashback to Trocheck getting injured a couple of years ago that like basically the same way. And I was like, oh my God. It was bad.
So they're currently, the Panthers are currently down in the series. Who do you think needs to step up to kind of help turn it around for them?
Everyone. I feel like that question is hard because to me, it's not just like one player. It needs to be everyone. And that's been the problem with the Panthers. I feel like the past couple of years is like Barkov, Huberdeau. Well, you have a whole team. Everyone needs to step up, everyone. Hello? Like everyone's getting a lot of money. Everyone's playing the game. They're all professional athletes. We can't just rely on one person to do the job. It needs to be everyone doing the job. And I feel like that's the problem because when we put so much, pressure on one or two players, they know that they're like, okay, shit, it's just me. Oh, shit, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but it's just me. It needs to be everyone. Everyone has to step up. There can't be one person in a playoff position that's like, today, like he'll handle it a little bit more than me. Like, no. And that's how you literally get called out on Twitter and by everyone being like, you're the weak link.
Yeah. You don't want to be the Edmonton Oilers where you just expect your two players just to carry you the entire time.
Well,
So if Florida was able to win the series and move on to round 2, how big do you think that would be for everyone down there?
Oh, such a big deal. Such a big deal. We need to get over the hump because Troch was tripped back in whatever year that was when we were in the playoffs. That was right before I started working for them, actually. I think it was the season before. 2017 season playoffs, maybe? And I mean, that was crazy in Fort Lauderdale and down here. Like everyone was super into hockey. It was like being in Tampa Bay for playoffs. Like hockey was it. We were it. All the other sports teams were tweeting about it and doing this. And I feel like it would break that, I don't even know, just that funk that everyone has. It would break the funk that's like, oh, well, the Panthers, per usual, blah, 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 blah. So no, we need to win. We have to win.
So going back a little bit to your job and your in arena hosting, what was one of the craziest things you ever saw happen at a Panthers game?
I feel like every single game something crazy happened, honestly, because I always say like live entertainment, there's nothing like it. And the thing was, honestly, like during games when I was hosting, I really wasn't paying attention too much to the game because I was running all over the arena and I had to be like if I was in the 100s doing a hit, I had to be like on the other side of the arena in less than 5 minutes. And I mean, I was running. I lost like some weight working for them because me and my security guy were busting booty running around. And I mean, I feel like people would always be like, they'd be like, oh, I saw you running. And I'm like, yeah, you saw me running. Hi. In heels, mind you. So yeah, every game, something crazy happened, whether it was like someone getting hit with the puck, someone this crazy play happened, someone beat the ish out of someone else. Like there was just always something happening, and I would always miss it. I'd miss it a lot because I'd be like, wait, what? I was in the elevator. I was over here. I was doing this. Blah, blah. Like it was so much always happening. So much happening. Yeah.
So let's talk about those heels for a second.
Yeah. Let's talk about those heels.
Because the one thing that when I found you on Instagram was your style when you used to host was impeccable. For those of you who are listening to this and you're not watching it, Racquel has the best style. And one, it was the shoes, but it was also the red over the knee boots for me. Those are an iconic pair of shoes that you had.
Those are iconic, and those were very painful. And
they were on brand with the red.
They were. I have so much red clothing, I can't even tell you. Like,
well, so let me ask you this. So were you responsible for your own outfits, like your own outfit, your own hair, your own makeup, or was there kind of guidelines that you had to follow for each game?
So I think because they knew I was never, I'm not going to lie, like I never was going to look bad. Like they knew I wasn't going to show up looking like a mess. Like I really didn't have too many guidelines. We got X amount of merch a year per game. And that was if like new stuff came out or anything happened, like we would get more. But honestly, like I kind of had free reign. Like I really did. On my last season, when I wasn't in arena host anymore, when I was digital host and I was pregame host, I actually got more clothes, which was really crazy. But when I was in arena, I was responsible for what I wore. So lots of red sweaters. I would always go on Nasty Gal like during the summer when they were having all the winter sales, and I would buy bulk of red clothing. Yeah, and I would just find I'm one of those people that I'm like, if I'm photographed in it twice, I can't ever wear it ever again. So that was like my OCD. That's great. But yeah, I mean, red's my favorite color, which is cool. So that helps the situation because at least I really liked the color I had to wear. Yeah, and I have this really weird thing. Like my whole life, red has always been the color that's like been in my life. Favorite color growing up. My dance studio growing up was red and black, like Panthers, red, blue, like white, gold. And then my FAU was red and blue. So I have always kind of accumulated red clothing, which has been nice. But the radio station I actually worked at after the Panthers is red and black. So that's why Millennial Girls is pink, because I was like, okay, we need a little break. But yeah, I was responsible for dressing, makeup, hair, everything. I don't think I was never ever told like you can't wear that pretty much. So the only extra times we would have extra merch is like Star Wars night. We had a special t-shirt or anything like themed nights like that.
Like a theme.
But yeah, no, I was responsible. So I have red jackets and red sweaters. I mean, it was like the really fun part of the job. I loved obviously trying to figure out what I was going to wear and all that stuff, but it was definitely costly. Not going to lie, for sure.
A little expensive.
It's a little expensive, but you find the stores online that have the sales, and I kind of figured out, like I said, like you shop during the summer for the winter clothes, they're like 90% off. So I was like, all right, I don't feel so bad, but yeah.
All right.
So once you're ready to jump on camera, what did your pregame routine look like to get ready?
So it was definitely like an all day affair. Like I could not get anything else done that day for game day, because I would wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, kind of, do whatever else you needed to do. And then I would start getting ready around noon, because I would have to be at the arena at 2 for our game or for our meeting, for our pregame meeting. And I did not want to bring all my stuff to get ready at the arena. I definitely had enough time, but I was like, I have too much stuff. Like anxiety, I don't need any more than I already have. So I would get ready, and then I would bring obviously whatever touch up stuff I needed, go to the arena, and I would go sometimes in my outfit, or sometimes towards the end, I would be like, I'm coming in sweatpants. Like I got enough time to change. And then I would have meetings, our pregame meeting at 2. And it would last until like 2:45. And then we would go back into the dressing room, and I would eat or, do whatever else I needed to do. And then we would get our script around like 3:30 and then start memorizing because mic checks at 5. So we would also have to go up, get our in-ear, get all that stuff and just check in and make sure all of that stuff was good. But yeah, that's pretty much what game day was. And then I would always make sure I had a tea with honey and lemon and like had a million cough drops with me because it was so cold. And obviously talking, you know, your voice, everyone always is like, Racquel, how did your voice never go out? And I was like, cause I drank a ton of tea with honey before and then had cough drops, had water, like always hydrating my vocal cords because I actually was battling. I got bronchitis like 6 or 7 times during my second season. So that was fun, working bronchitis, like working games with bronchitis and just like feeling like I was on my deathbed. But it's because of how cold it was. And like, you don't realize when you're in the arena for so long, like leaving and it's 95 degrees, your body does like not, the body temperature is all messed up. And I was still teaching dance and I was just like really burnt out. It was burnt out, but yeah. So I had like a whole ritual and then I would just practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. Then we'd go to sound check, practice, come back, practice some more and just like, it's go time.
How many games was it until you got comfortable memorizing the script in such a short amount of time?
I feel like never, honestly. Like I feel like I never got comfortable with it because obviously some stuff stayed the same, but it was something different, you know, every single game for 3 years. So obviously the nerves are a little bit less. Like you're like, okay, I've obviously been brought back this many years. I can do my job well. But yeah. And then, I mean, obviously too, again, it's live entertainment. So I'd be like, my boss would be like, X this hit, you're going to the next, this is changing, go over here, you've got to run, be upset. I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know, I feel like it was so it's emotionally draining. And for anyone who does that job, who doesn't say it is, like you're lying or you're not doing it well. Sorry about it. Like there's no way.
So going from the pregame to the actual game itself, what would you say are the keys to being a good in-game host?
You have to have fun. Obviously, it's going to read if you're faking it, and really believe in what you're doing. I was lucky. I got to host with 2 really great male counterparts, and our energy was unmatched. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a co-host like I did ever again to that extent of how well we worked well together. And that is something that I don't know, that you can't fake it. You can't fake the chemistry. And because even watching stuff now, I'm like, oh, the chemistry with these 2 are not it. Or like, not even hockey, but like, you know, award shows or anything. You see that and you're like, oh my God, why? This is horrible. Did they not chem test before? Like, who thought this was a good idea? And I'm really grateful to have had 2 male counterparts that we just were friends and we hung out outside of games and we just really got to know each other. And I think that's why it worked. But something that's going to make you a good host is don't let your nerves take over, which it happens. It's going to happen. Everyone's human. But you have to be willing to also like roll with the punches. Because like I said, I had been like standing on the 109 stage, ready to do this one hit. And my boss comes on and he's like, you got to get down to the tunnel right now, because if you don't, no one's going to be there for the intermission activity. Like leave Aaron or whoever it was at the time hosting. And I was like, I got to run. Like I got to go. So I'd be running with my security guard, like literally running through the arena, like trying to figure out, I'm like, the elevator is going to be too slow. We got to go down all the stairs and like jump through it. Like it was wild. It was wild. So you have to be able to roll with the punches and just do your job effectively and like have fun.
Was there everything you were ever at? Oh, goodness. Was there anything you were ever looking to add to the atmosphere of a game?
Like me, like, what do you mean? In like my hosting or?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so. I got to do a lot of cool stuff and like the intermission activities. And I even got to interview some like famous people who were there at games sometimes because they knew that was my jam. And I mean, they knew what my strengths were, which was really cool. Like they knew what I was good at and they let me do it. So that was nice.
Did the score dictate kind of like your energy level? Like, did you try to put more into it to get the crowd pumped up if the team was losing?
I don't think the score dictated because it was like, you got to do this no matter what. kind of thing. Obviously, if we were losing, like in our earpiece, our boss would be like, pump them up. Like if we're doing a t-shirt toss, like sometimes they would throw in like an extra little thing like that, but that wasn't obviously me. I knew I had to be 100% no matter what. But for me, it didn't really dictate. It was like, you got to be 100, as if we're acting like we're winning this 8-0 or if we're losing horribly.
Mm-hmm.
So you had, the iconic story of how you came into working on this job. What was kind of your best? Was that your best moment or your favorite memory, or is there something else that really sticks out to you?
My favorite memory is, honestly, I always say when I worked in sports, I was in the memory making business, because the thing with the Panthers, and I feel like people don't understand, is the season ticket holders, a lot of them have been with the team since day one. And they, went from being however old to getting married and now having their kids and bringing their kids to the game. And I mean, for me, that was just like the best time, is getting to know the fans, the season ticket holders, and talking to their kids and asking them what they like today and who, what ice cream they had or what they were looking forward to for the game. Like that was truly my favorite part of every single game. And I think it showed, because I would have fans coming up to me being like, Racquel, how are you today? Oh my God. Da, da, da. And everyone would be like, oh, she talks to everyone. And I'm like, I mean, it's literally my job to talk to people. So yeah, I want to make sure that I'm a part of the fan experience. And it's not just like, I never wanted anyone to leave a game and be like, oh, Racquel's like not nice. That's not, she's the host. Like I never wanted it to be like that ever. So I feel like for me, that was the best memory still to this day. And like, all the pictures of the kids that I would take pictures with, and a lot of their parents now I'm friends with on social media, or they follow my podcast, or they're so like committed to what's going on in my life and knowing what's going on in my life. Even on Twitter, like a lot of season ticket holders still reach out to me. They're like, are you coming to a game? Like, we want to say hi, or congratulations on, being on Sirius now and all this stuff. And to me, like, that is the most meaningful thing of having that job ever, for sure.
Is there one fan experience that sticks out to you?
I remember dancing, like the last game of my first season, just having so much fun with a bunch of different kids, and we were dancing and we were having like a dance party. It was just so fun. And I still had those parents, like I'll still have them text me and be like, I still have that video and I came across it the other day, and they still talk about that day or something like that. And to me, I'm like, oh, it warms my heart. Like I love it so much.
That you were, you're part of the family memory.
Yeah, literally, that I'm a part of the family memory, and not just their memory, like my memory as well, because I get that question. Obviously, it's like, what was your favorite part of, doing that? And everyone thinks it's going to be like, oh, being around the players or talking to da 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 da. And I'm like, no, like the kids and the people I got to meet. And actually, how I got my next job after the Panthers was from talking to people, because the radio station came and did an intermission activity with us. And I said, hey, if you ever need a guest co-host, let me know. And that's literally how I got my next job at the radio station. I reached out to them after doing some freelance stuff for them and said, hey, I'm not with the Panthers anymore. We're parting ways. I'm kind of on to the next chapter. Let me know if you need any on-air talent. And they said, absolutely. We are filling some slots. Come and audition. And that's how that happened. So always talk to people, guys. Always do it.
There's one lesson to be learned from this episode.
Literally talk to people.
So are you trying to stay connected to hockey these days? And would you ever consider working in the NHL again?
I mean, never say never, right? I am kind of in between area right now, but I'm so in music right now, and I like love it so much. And sports was really fun. But it's really exhausting. It's so exhausting. And it was very stressful. And I don't know if I would ever go like, maybe if it was the right opportunity, like if it was like the NHL network or something like that, but live in it, I don't know. You have to be like, eat, sleep, breathe it. And after working in sports and then going back into music and radio, and I love music and radio so much, and entertainment. And obviously, I said I wanted to host E-News. Like that's been with it since, that's how it's been since I was little. I don't know. It would definitely have to be the right opportunity. But again, like never say never. I'm never going to be like, no, never. But then like the NHL network calls and I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. No, thank you. I'm like, no, I'm not really going in that direction. Like, yeah, you take that job.
You're co-hosting with Jackie Redmond all of a sudden. And you're like, yeah,
I love her. I love Jackie. Shout out to Jackie. We used to talk about like what we would wear during games and her broadcast like all the time. I'd be like, oh my God. She's like, I love your boots. I'd be like, I love your dress. So that was really cool.
So we've seen you interview some really major stars on the red carpet, like Alessia Cara, to name a few. So how do you approach, what is the difference, I guess, between approaching a celebrity to get a good answer from them as opposed to an athlete, a professional athlete?
I don't think I have a difference at all, honestly. It's just, I'm very chill in like the sense of I'm not trying to be creepy. Like I'm not going to ever ask those like intrusive questions. That's just not my speed. I'd rather have a really good interview with them and actually get to know them as a person and talk about certain things and then trust me and respect me. Like I'm not trying to be like that. So I don't think that there's a difference of how I approach that situation at all. I just like try and be myself. And if I get a good answer, I get a good answer. And if I don't, then I'm not going to put that answer up or put it up at all. Sorry about it.
So I guess our final question of the night is, do you have any upcoming projects that need to be on our radar, and where can listeners find you on social media?
You can find me at Racquel Goldy on everything, literally. So great that it's the same handle for every single social media because my podcast is not, and it is very difficult to remember. But yeah, I have the Millennial Girls podcast, which is super awesome. Once a week, we put out new episodes. We have a lot of fun with it. And then I'm pretty much like an all-around content creator these days. So my YouTube channel is dedicated to K-pop music, which has been really great because I've gotten to explore a literal whole different side of the world and interview their artists. And I'm actually learning Korean now, which is super dope. So my tutor's over in Seoul. We Skype to learn, and I've gotten to interview some really big artists over there. So that's been really great. The sky's the limit for me. I'm always just trying to see, what I can do next and how I can kind of be in the space of media. I also host Vinny Vibes, Good Vibes Radio on Sirius XM, Pitbull's Globalization every single Friday at 10 a.m. So if you like dance music, you can check that out. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to LA in a couple weeks, so have some meetings set up. So we'll see what happens from there. But, I'm just all over.
I think it's so great that you really did give an honest kind of feedback on what it's like to not only work in sports, but as an interviewer too, like just being in media. And it's great to talk to somebody, especially for anybody who's in college that wants a journalism degree or wants to work in sports, like to give a realistic experience on how everything is.
I do a lot of, obviously pre-pandemic, I was lucky to go back to FAU and do a lot of public speaking and speaking to kids in the journalism school, or, just tell them what it's really like, because I didn't have anyone telling me really what it was going to be like when I was in college. I have some great mentors now, but I didn't have that in college. And I felt like I was in like unicorn land. I didn't really know. I was like, I'm going to host E-News. And everyone's like, okay, sure. I'm like, I'm going to do it. But like, I'm just one of those people that put your money where your mouth is. And, when I first started my YouTube channel in college, the first person I interviewed was Chris Allen, who won American Idol. And literally how I got that is because I had interned at iHeart and I made a bomb pitch email to the publicist. And I was like, hey, I interned at iHeart. I'm in J school. I do this. I didn't even have a YouTube channel or a camera when I got that interview. Okay. Like I had to go to BrandSmart or Best Buy. And I was like, I need a camera because I'm interviewing Chris Allen. I don't have anything and I'm going in 2 days. So like, I just feel like people need to know it's going to be them doing it. Like even now when I'm interviewing these huge, massive artists in South Korea, I'm the one who's emailing their publicists, their managers, connecting with people on LinkedIn. Like I don't have someone doing that for me. So if you think you're going to just sit there and be like, it'll happen, it's going to happen by osmosis. Like it's definitely not. It's definitely not going to at all. If you have an agent or a manager, it's different. But now I'm kind of even dabbling into the A&R work with some people, some artists, and even handling social media for artists. So that's cool too, because I'm even learning that side of things. I just want to be well-rounded and never get myself in a situation where I'm like, I don't know, because that's a horrible situation to be in. So
we're going to end with something we like to do here on Jason Sticks with a 5 rapid fire questions.
I'm really bad at these, but I'm ready. Okay.
Okay. So Mariah, you go first.
What's your go-to coffee order?
Okay, I have 2. Dunkin' Donuts for the win. Either iced French vanilla with oat milk, or an iced hazelnut with almond milk.
As a Boston girl, I appreciate the Dunkin'.
Oh yeah, no, Dunkin' sponsor me, please. Anyway, sponsor my podcast.
So our next question is, who's your favorite Florida Panther, past or present?
Brett McLean, because he was my neighbor, and he is the person who first got me to go to a in-person Panthers game, and here we are.
He started it all.
Yeah, and his dog was really cute.
Extra points for the dog.
Extra points for the dog.
So, content creator, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok?
Oh, that's so hard. Can I say YouTube?
Sure.
I'm going to say YouTube.
Okay. I like that. And then what is your go-to game day accessory when you go to a Panthers game?
My phone. I feel like that's obviously like duh. So when I go to a Panthers game or when I hosted a Panthers game?
Both.
Okay. When I go to a Panthers game, chapstick because it's cold. And when I was hosting a Panthers game, I would have honey packets with me. Like literally keep them in my boss's drawer. And I was like, gotta go get some. So honey.
Yeah.
Honey packets for my throat.
And last but not least, we want to know which 2 teams do you think will be in the Stanley Cup Finals and who is going to win?
Oh God, I have no idea. I'm always really bad with this.
We all are. It's fine.
Can I just say, I'm just going to be really optimistic. How crazy would it be for the Panthers to win and be in the finals? I'm just going to I'm putting it out to the universe. I'm doing it. I don't want to check the score. I don't want to know the score right now. I'm just going to be optimistic about it. Okay. They're winning.
Okay.
There you go. See, you put it on the universe and they're winning.
So now if it happens, we can go back and be like, hey, remember when Racquel predicted it?
Well, and if they make it, we'll bring you back for the Stanley Cup Finals.
Because obviously I'm the good luck charm.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So that unfortunately we've run out of time for this week. We obviously could have chatted with you for the night. So, but we want to thank you so much for joining us this week. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and good luck with all your projects. It's really inspiring to see everything that you're doing and all the work that you're putting in. And thank you, of course, to Kristy, Hannah, and Mariah for joining me once again. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And be sure that you join us next week as the 4 of us will be talking Stanley Cup playoffs. So we'll be giving our take on what's been going on. And until then, make sure you're checking out all the great shows that are being produced by the Hockey Writers on YouTube, Facebook, and all your favorite podcast platforms. Visit thehockeywriters.com to read all the content being published daily by our awesome writers. Don't forget to follow us on social media so you're not missing anything. And last but not least, make sure you're signing up for our daily newsletter we like to call Morning Skate by visiting morningskate.io to start your day off right with some hockey news. And I say that because Kristy is one of the publishers and editors for that. So, we'll take care and see you soon. Enjoy the playoffs, everyone.
Thank you for having me.